Hello and welcome to my video. Today I am testing the visual accessibility of Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. This game originally released on PlayStation 4 in 2017 and was remastered in 2024. It is an action role-playing game set over 1,000 years in the future when civilization has been reset and machines have taken over. The game follows Aloy, an outcast of one of the tribes, as she learns the secrets of where the machines came from and works to stop a plot that would destroy humanity. This is one of my favorite games, as evidenced by my Lego sets and my desktop background. And I'm not the only one. According to the PlayStation website, it has 4.8 out of 5 stars, and the PC version has very positive reviews on Steam. The game has 31 nominations for awards, and it won 19 of them. Overall, this is a beautiful game with a compelling story and engaging gameplay. But how does the visual accessibility hold up? Can you play the game if you're visually impaired? Let's explore together. If you're unfamiliar, the gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn includes a lot of exploring an open world, riding mounts, climbing, and of course, shooting with bows and other weapons. Already, the open world may make this difficult for some people with vision loss to play. The graphics are gorgeous and detailed, but for people with contrast or acuity problems, it can be very difficult to distinguish important environmental features. Take a look at this example. I do apologize for the video quality. I took a screen recording of my phone using the Peak Acuity app for this demonstration, which doesn't lead to the best graphics. But you may notice that as someone's visual acuity gets worse, it gets significantly more difficult to distinguish things like the land, plants, animals, or even to read the text on the screen. It gets even worse in the low light conditions of nighttime in the game. It can be very difficult to determine what is important to pay attention to and what isn't. Plus, an open world means that you could easily get lost or fall off a cliff, as I have many times. To be clear, I'm not visually impaired, just impatient and sometimes find the shortest route. And sometimes that route includes a cliff. So, those are the basics of the game and some accessibility problems I noticed. Let's take a closer look at the accessibility settings within the game to see if they can help some of these problems. Something new with the remastered version of the game is a separate accessibility section in the settings menu. A lot of these settings are focused on dexterity, such as key binding and movement sensitivity. These are great, but let's explore the vision specific settings. Of course, as always, we can adjust the difficulty. There are also options for quest pathfinding and waypoint pathfinding. Explorer means that there is minimal guidance, and guided means there will be visible markers on the screen to help you reach your destination. These are minor, usually a small icon with an arrow on the screen, but it can be helpful. You can also choose to have your mount automatically follow the road. I could not find any settings to display the path on the road itself, which was a little disappointing. For those who get bothered by lots of movement, there are options to adjust the motion blur and camera shake. Setting that is new to me is action prompt sounds and action prompt vibration. These are features that make a noise or haptics, respectively, when you encounter something you can interact with. This might be talking to a merchant or picking up an item. This can be very helpful for people with acuity, contrast, or field loss, as it can alert you to interactive items that you may have otherwise missed. There are options to adjust the size of subtitles and to toggle a background on or off for the subtitles. This can make subtitles much easier to read. There is also a large text mode, which does increase the size of all text, but not significantly. I also noticed a weird glitch when large text mode was enabled, where some text would be overlaid. This made it almost impossible to read. But I really only noticed this problem in the settings menu itself. It never showed up anywhere else in the game. There are some great colorblind settings built into Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. There are options for all three types of color blindness: protonope, deuteranope, and tritanope. I tried taking a video of my colorblind simulator with these three options, but the simulator's camera is very slow and I don't think it turned out very well. But this changes important colors, such as the indicators for when a machine is suspicious or actively attacking you, which is very important to know. From what I can tell, however, there is no change to the colors on the maps, for icons for navigation, or for the color coding for item rarity levels. One feature that is new to me that I found helpful was the auto pickup option. The indicators for items that you can pick up, like plants, common machine parts, and common loot chests, are white. This can be very difficult to see if you have contrast, acuity, or color problems. Depending on what the background is, the icon can seem invisible. Auto pickup means that if there is an item to be picked up within a certain radius around you, Aloy will do so automatically. This does not apply to chests, machines, or animals, but it does mean you will pick up a lot of important plants like medicinal plants and ridgewood. The action prompt sounds and action prompt vibration features can help with the other items. Now, I am playing the PS5 version of this game. The PlayStation 5 has a few built in accessibility features that can be accessed in game. First, there is the magnifier. This can be helpful when trying to read smaller print or to distinguish icons. However, it doesn't magnify a bunch, and the game doesn't pause while you're magnifying. So if you try to zoom in to see the indicator icon about whether the machine has seen you or not, it might already be too late. But for most of the game, like trading with merchants, making dialogue choices, and reading quest or skills information, it is helpful. There is also the use second controller for assistance or co pilot settings, which Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is compatible with. This means two people can use two different controllers to control the same character. A practical use of this in our game today would be to have somebody help navigate Aloy as needed. One part of the game that is not an accessibility feature but can be helpful is the way that the music and Aloy respond to the environment. If a machine is nearby and aware of you, the battle music starts to play. Once you are out of danger, a sound cue will play and the music will change. Paying attention to the music and sound cues may help you figure out if there are any enemies around that you've missed. Aloy will also talk in certain situations, like if you're running or falling down while exploring, if the machines are looking for you, and so forth. These can give important context clues as to what's going on. Another feature that might be helpful is that when you scan a machine with your focus, the weakest part of the machines are highlighted in yellow for some time. For people with acuity or contrast problems, this may help with effective aiming. I do wish there was an option to change this color or make it last longer, but as is, it is pretty useful. However, even with these settings, some things are still difficult. Certain icons and certain lights are nearly impossible to see. The text size does not get large enough to be functional for many people with vision loss. There are no options for contrast settings, and there are no speech options in this game. I'm very happy that Gorilla has decided to add these accessibility features to the game. A lot of these features were not in the original release. However, some extra features would be helpful to people with vision loss. First, allowing for further customization of text size and contrast would be amazing. A high contrast mode where all of the lettering and icons had a white or black outline, depending on their original color, would be a huge help. Also, having options to adjust the contrast of more transparent items, such as the weapon wheel, would be useful. Having an option for a menu reader and audio descriptions would help people with even less vision access parts of the game more easily. These beautiful cutscenes, when you can't see well, are just silent blurs. Imagine not being able to see well and listening to this cutscene. Having audio descriptions that describe the environment, the mood, the faces, this would all make it so much richer and engaging for people with vision loss. Now that we've talked about the accessibility features available and also what things might be helpful for future games, I'm going to rate how playable this game is for a variety of visual conditions. These are just based on my personal experience, not as someone who is visually impaired, but as someone who works with them daily. I always recommend to ask actual people who are visually impaired about their experiences so you can get firsthand feedback. 1. Color impairments, 5 stars. I think this game does a really good job of making the colors accessible. They have different settings for different color impairments, and when I tested them with the color blindness simulator, I was able to tell the difference between different icons when I wasn't able to in the standard color mode. The important icons, such as warning, health, and level, are all made accessible for those with color vision loss. 2. Contrast impairment. 1 star. This game does not have any options to increase contrast, save for the background of the subtitles. 3. Acuity impairments, 2 stars. I think some of the color blindness modes inadvertently help with acuity problems, making the important things stand out more. But overall, the game is gorgeous and detailed, but that makes it difficult for someone who can't see clearly to distinguish the important items from the environment. Plus, the text size not being very customizable gives it a low score for me. 4. Visual field impairments. 3 stars. In this example, I'm playing on my PlayStation, but if you play on a PC with a smaller monitor, I think you could get all of the important information into your field of view. Some games have an option to adjust the placement of hood items, and I wish this game had that ability. There are a lot of little icons on the edges of the screen to pay attention to, but if you practice your scanning, listen for sound cues, and get as much as possible in your field of view, I believe it's playable. 5. Total blindness. 1 star. This game has no accessibility for people with no vision. Given all of this, I have given Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered on the PlayStation 5 a 2-star rating for visual accessibility. They did some great things to make this game more accessible, but there's definitely room for improvement. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is my first time making a video on YouTube, so please cut me a little slack with the editing and quality. I hope you learned a few things about visual accessibility. Let me know in the comments what you think about this game. I am also always open to suggestions on what to test next, so let me know what you want to see.